It is no secret that most businesses have moved away from outdated processes and traditional CRM systems. They're now turning to modern, no-code platforms that allow them to automate workflows, build functional systems, and manage data without writing a single line of code. And the impact on the business ecosystem has been impressive. Industry data reveals that companies adopting these modern automation and no-code platforms are scaling up to 5 times faster than those stuck with conventional development methods. These tools have leveled the playing field and are enabling small, agile teams to manage enterprise-level workloads with intuitive, accessible solutions. But the major concern is usually, which of these tools actually fits my stack and supports the way my business operates? Because it's easy to get caught up in a trap where you're just adding more tools to solve temporary problems, rather than building a sustainable foundation. That brings us to the ultimate crossroads in modern workflows: Zapier versus Softr. On one hand, you have Zapier. It's one of the leading integration platforms, acting as the invisible engine that connects thousands of different apps in the background, quietly moves between tools, routing new leads into your CRM, sending updates to Slack, or pushing orders to accounting systems without anyone having to lift a finger. But instead of stringing multiple disjointed apps together with invisible background connections, what if you could bring all that data into a single, cohesive platform, where you can build both the applications and powerful automations in one place? That's where Softr comes in. Softr is a full-stack, no-code platform with its own native database, letting you build fully functional web applications, client portals, internal dashboards, and custom business tools. You can also connect to your existing data through 14+ integrations, including Airtable, Notion, Google Sheets, and Supabase. With its native workflows, you can now also automate everything from simple tasks to complex multi-step processes, including conditions, branching, loops, webhooks, API calls, and AI actions directly inside the platform. It's increasingly considered one of the strongest alternatives to a traditional Zapier-heavy setup, because it approaches the entire problem of managing workflows and building applications from a more unified angle. To understand which approach makes sense for your enterprise, we need to look at how they stack up across 4 key areas: structural clarity, cost scalability, user experience, and data governance. Zapier is excellent for connecting apps and automating tasks across different systems. The problem is that as those automations grow, so does the complexity behind them. What starts as a few workflows can quickly become a web of dependencies that is difficult to track and troubleshoot. Softr takes a more centralized approach, turns your core data source into a complete working application, while allowing you to build and run native automations inside the same platform. This creates a much cleaner and more stable operating environment. Zapier's costs are tied to usage. As automation volume increases, so do expenses, which can make costs harder to predict over time. Softr follows a more predictable pricing model based on the applications and users you support. For growing businesses, this often makes budgeting simpler and easier to control. Zapier automates processes behind the scenes, but it does not provide a central place for people to work. Teams often end up jumping between multiple disconnected tools just to access information and complete tasks. Softr takes a different approach, adds a powerful, user-friendly layer on top of your data, can build polished dashboards, client portals, and internal tools, while also running complex automations with conditions, branching, and actions, all from one cohesive place. With Zapier, data constantly moves between single systems and integrations. While this approach is powerful, it can quickly create complexity around oversight and access control as operations expand. Softr takes a cleaner approach, keeps your data anchored in its original source while offering a dedicated interface and native workflows for controlled access and automation. Now, this makes governance, permissions, and accountability significantly easier to manage. Zapier remains a solid choice in several serious situations. It excels at pure asynchronous integrations, where data needs to move silently between unrelated systems, such as payment processor updating your accounting software automatically. It also stands out for its vast library of integrations, especially with niche tools that don't fit neatly into a standard database. For quick, low-volume, one-off automations that require no user interface, Zapier is often the simplest and most effective solution. However, many growing businesses eventually need more than silent data moving between separate tools. They need automation that is deeply connected to the actual applications and workflows that their team uses every day. This is where Softr has become the stronger, more complete choice. Softr now handles both the application database and the automation layer in one unified platform. It can build client portals, internal CRMs, project dashboards, and team workspaces while also designing and running sophisticated automations directly inside the same environment. Its native workflows let you trigger actions from database changes or user interactions, apply conditions and branching logic, use loops and wait steps, call APIs and webhooks, and even incorporate AI actions all without switching tools or managing multiple platforms. The result is a much more cohesive system. Instead of maintaining fragile connections across different services, you operate within one well-structured environment where your data, interfaces, and automations work together seamlessly. For teams that want both powerful automation and clean, usable applications, Softr delivers a more integrated and sustainable solution. Zapier and Softr each solve important but different needs. Zapier remains a proven leader for pure background integrations and connecting large numbers of disparate tools. Softr, on the other hand, has evolved into a more complete platform that brings together both application building and powerful automation in one unified environment. The right choice ultimately depends on where your business is headed. If your primary need is simple, high-volume data movement across many different systems, Zapier continues to be an excellent solution. However, if you're looking to create structured, scalable systems where data, interfaces, and automations work together seamlessly, Softr offers a clearer, more sustainable path forward. Take an honest look at your current workflow stack. If you're spending too much time managing disconnected tools, dealing with rising costs, or struggling with visibility, it may be time to explore a more unified approach. You can learn more about Softr and see how it can transform the way you operate through the link in the description. Thanks for watching.